Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No.
I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. Welcome, everybody, to Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KMBN in western South Dakota, and all parts in between, and Inforum.com. And it is a Tuesday morning, the 25th day of August, 2026. I'm playing hurt today, folks. This is a total gaffe on my part here. We had soccer practice last night for the Jackman, and afterwards, a group of parents have volunteered. They're coaching, which shout out to them for doing it because it's like herding cats. And afterwards, as a award or hey, good job, each of the kids got some Twizzlers. And Jackman I don't think he's ever had a Twizzler before, so he tried it and he was like, "Nah, it's not happening," which is fine. I'm glad he tried it. I scooped it up, said sure, and apparently it might be my first time chewing because I dove into it so aggressively that I bit the end of my tongue, I thought, to the point where it was going to come off. It was agonizing. So this morning, I'm still feeling it here. We're going to grind through it because football season is here. But my word, it's like first time doing anything. Holy cow. I don't know. With that, we start the show. Just playing hurt this morning. Just letting everyone know on that. We got a lot to get to today. We are 2 days out from football being played here in the immediate Fargo-Moorhead area, with the Dragons playing on Thursday night. We're going to preview that with our guy Steve Laqua, back for another year with the head coach of the Dragons, who got some national pub yesterday. We got off the air and went upstairs, and one Pat McAfee's talking about Jack Strand. That's the kind of publicity that MSUM dies for. Any school would, let alone the one across the river. We'll talk with Coach Laqua about that coming up later on in the show. That was pretty funny to see that. It's also counting down to the start of the season for Mayville State. The Comets open up on Saturday with Briar Cliff. Rocky Larson be back with us. Excited for another year with the Comets to see what they've got in store after a really nice season last year. Another year in the Frontier Conference of getting used to new travel in a tough side of that division. We'll visit with Coach Larson coming up here in just a little bit. Excited about that. And the countdown continues for the Bison opener on Saturday. We'll see what exactly is entailing for the tickets. They still seem to be some out there as we trend. I think it's close. I thought it would be a slam dunk. It's going to be close to see if it gets sold out for the game on Saturday. We'll update on that coming up later on in the show. But we'll start with a little late-night baseball last night as the Twins continue their West Coast swing after being swept in San Diego. We set it up yesterday. This is how this team has rolled here as of late. Swept by the Phillies, swept Atlanta, swept by the Padres. Now here's a perfect bounce-back opportunity. You've got the former Oakland, now Sacramento, soon-to-be Las Vegas A's on deck, who are 30 games under 500, the worst team in the American League. If you need a feel-good series or a get-right series, this is the team for you. And offensively, the team got well last night. We'll show you the moving pictures from lovely Sacramento, where the Twins offense got going in a big-time way early on in this game. Josh Bell. Remember, this is a minor league ballpark, okay, with minor league roughly dimensions. That one is nearly a 3-run home run off the top of the wall in left center. They had to review it The call on the field was upheld. It's a 1-0 Twins lead. Bell up again in the third with the ever-popular RBI groundout. Byron Buxton was on base, which had not been happening lately. Scores again. It's 2-0. Ryan Kreidler is a Sacramento guy. Back home last night and bashes this to left for a home run. Makes it a 3-1 Twins lead in the fifth. Later in the inning, Cody Clemens is up at the plate. He'll deliver with a base hit up the gut. That's going to score Buxton for the third time in this game already. Twins to go up 4-1. They extend the lead in the next inning. Luke Keyshaw is just scorching right now. That is down the left field line. That's going to plate two as Kalen Culpepper and Brooks Lee come in. It's 6-1 Minnesota at that point. Josh Bell would drive it another with a sac fly to make it 7-1. It's 8-1 in the eighth when Culpepper gets on base for the fourth time in the game. That is his fourth hit, as Bell would score to make it 9-1 Twins. Culpepper with 4 hits in the game. First time he's done that in his big league career. The game got interesting, though, in the bottom of the ninth. It was 9-2. Jeff McNeil doubled in 2 runs. This another double. That makes it 9-5. Again, this is a blowout. Later, Lawrence Butler up at the plate. This is into the gap in right center. That's going to score another run. All of a sudden, it's 9-6. You're starting to sweat things out. Yandres Gomez got it replaced. Morris had to come in. He gets the final out, and this ball hit to first, and that ends it. And a game that was a laugher going to the bottom of the eighth ends up being a moderate squeaker. 9-6, the Twins end up getting the victory. Zebby Matthews, how about that? 7 innings last night to pick up his 8th win of the season. He's now 8-8 on the year through 105 pitches. Struck out 7, allowed 1 run. Gomez is getting some work in. It wasn't even a save situation. He allowed 4 hits and 4 runs in 2/3 of an inning as the game got a bit tighter, but the Twins get a much-needed win. So, the standings, as we said, are as volatile as you can be in the wild card race. Yankees, Red Sox, the Guardians hold the final spot now. Cleveland's won 5 in a row. They're coming on as they've got to. We have a team finally at 500 in the American League wild card race. The Astros are a half game back. Then the Twins remain 2 back with the Blue Jays. The Orioles 2.5. Mariners 3. Tigers are going the wrong way here. Tigers, we might be able to take off the board here soon. They're 4.5 back, and they've lost 6 in a row. You got some wild losing streaks or winning streaks going on in the American League Central right now. Guardians have won 5 in a row. Tigers have lost 6 in a row. The Royals, by the way, have won 8 in a row. Kansas City's out of it. Kansas City's 8 back, but that's the up-to-date standings here. Game 2 coming up tonight from Sacramento. Again, I said this yesterday. Sweeps are hard to accomplish in baseball, though it seems like the Twins are all they're doing right now is either swept or being swept. You got to take 2 or 3, at least, at bare minimum here, with Game 2 coming up 8:30 again tonight out in the minor league park in Sacramento. While that game was starting last night, the Lynx game was ending. And we set it up in What to Watch yesterday that the Minnesota Lynx, who have bulldozed this entire WNBA season, they only lost 7 times heading into the game last night, had a chance to clinch the number 1 seed at home for the WNBA playoffs, knowing that as long as they play, they would have home court advantage throughout the postseason. Golden State was coming in, and now Golden State had never beaten the Lynx. The Lynx had just beaten them last week on the road out in Northern California. They were going to play the game without Courtney Williams, who dinged up her ankle over the weekend, I believe against Washington, so she was out. That was the backdrop for last night. A game, it was a formality. The Lynx have just dominated these games. Well, as the old saying goes, that's why they play the games, because last night was a different story indeed at Target Center, because Golden State came out and grabbed this game early on. The Lynx shot terribly. They turned the ball over. This at the end of the first quarter puts the Valkyries up by 3. Olivia Miles. Again, it's an alarming note when the Lynx only have 22 points with 4 minutes gone in the second quarter. That three tied the game up. Valkyries would answer back. That's a deep three knocked down from Gabby Williams, who was great last night. Puts Golden State up by 6. They're up 6 in the third. A little step-back jumper from Veronica Burton. She had 14. Valkyries are up double digits. They're up 11 here in the fourth. This was almost a dagger three there. Knocked down Cecilia Vandeslini. She had 18 for the Valkyries. Put them up by 13. Same score. How about another one with the shot clock going down in your eye hole? Golden State holds the Lynx to 66 points, winning it 80-66 the final. Minnesota shot 36% from the floor. I mean, you're not going to win many games if you're shooting 36%. Nafisa Collier held to 9. Kayla McBride, 12. She was 2-11 from the field. Miles, her worst game of the year. 8 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. She turned the ball over 4 times. The Lynx had 17 turnovers as a team. An absolute clunker. Golden State's good, mind you. They're the second best team in the league, and they showed it last night at Target Center in beating Minnesota. Lynx will play their final game before the FIBA World Championship break on Sunday against Atlanta. Then they're off for 3 weeks before they close the regular season at the end of September. I know it's odd here with the scheduling, but this is the World Championships that are coming up here. So the best women's players are all assembling for different teams. The United States is going to roll out an all-star of all-star teams that will play in this. So after the Lynx play Sunday, they won't play again until September the 18th when they have the Liberty coming to Target Center. And they end the season, by the way, with a home-and-home with Caitlin Clark in Indiana at the end of September. So WNBA playoffs are going to roll into the NBA start of their regular season. That's just how long the season's going to go this year. So clunker last night from the Lynx. It happens, but we'll see. That could be a finals preview there between Golden State and Minnesota. We have an action-packed show here for you here on this Tuesday morning. Our guest lineup is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Our guy Mike McFeely is back with us in studio at 9:35. His appearances are brought to us by Sunset Lanes. Michael will give us the lowdown, his sit-down with new NDSU President Marshall Stewart. You see that in today's Forum newspaper and inforum.com, and a variety of topics surrounding North Dakota State athletics, specifically football, in anticipation of the FBS opener. And Dr. Stewart brought up the idea of potentially playing a game overseas. He was at Kansas State last year and saw the Wildcats play their opener in Ireland. We'll get Mike's take on that coming up at 9:35. I've got some thoughts on that as well. We'll do that coming up in just a little bit. At 10 o'clock, Rocky Larson will join us. Mayville State head football coach as the Comets get set to open up a highly anticipated season with almost a new roster. They had a great year a year ago. We'll see what's in store in 2026 as they open up the year Saturday at Briarcliff. As I mentioned, at 10:35, another year begins with our guy Steve Laqua. Each and every Tuesday at 10:30, he will join us to give us the up-to-date lowdowns, what's going on with the Dragons. MSU Moorhead getting pub like they've never had before. The fact that their former quarterback may be the starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons this year. That is not an outrageous statement to make. Pat McAfee was certainly pining for it yesterday. He saw it up close and personal. He was at the game on Saturday in Indianapolis and saw Jack Strand dice up the Indianapolis Colts. We'll visit with Steve about that and about his current quarterback situation. He's got to name a starter for their opener Thursday night at home at Shields Field against Northern Michigan. We'll visit with Coach Laqua about that and everything about his 2026 Dragons. There is no more Jack Strand. They have to move past that. They've got 11 games to go on their schedule. And we'll talk about the 2026 Dragons after a great year. They won 8 football games a year ago. I thought they should have made the Division II playoffs, especially they beat Mankato on the road to end the regular season and got left out. Now, turn the page. Brand new year ahead for them coming up in 2026, and it starts on Thursday night. We'll visit with him about that coming up later on in the show. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Tuesday morning. We'll take our first break. We come back. Some quarterback decisions being made across FBS that are eye-opening. And A What in the World Are We Doing comment is coming up as well. We're glad you're joining us. Hot Mike back right after this. Off and rolling here on a Tuesday morning. Don't forget, we are back on Saturday morning for Bison Game Day, live inside Gate City Bank Field at the Fargo Dome. Our coverage begins 10 a.m. on WDAY. Myself, Sam Getzinger, Jeff Kolpak, Kyle Emanuel, get ready for the Bison FBS opener with Jacksonville State. We'll be with you from here to San Jose on Bison Game Day. That's the first time saying that out loud. 10 a.m. Saturday mornings on WDAY. Before we continue the show, some news came down yesterday that was disappointing and upsetting and frankly personal to us here at Hot Mike. Our friend and colleague Sam Herder announced that he had lost his job at Hero Sports, and the outpouring yesterday was unanimous and from every corner you can imagine of in support, because Sam has done an amazing job of covering FCS football, frankly, since he was in college, and I'll get to that in a second. I mean, from Pete Thamel from ESPN to all corners that were reaching out, Sam's going to start his own independent site and rock and roll with that going forward. Two things. I don't know anything about Hero Sports or what their management deal is. To let a guy go 3 days before the season begins is crappy, and there are other words I can say off air that would apply to that. If you're going to do that, then shutter it in January, February, March, heck, even May or June. In August, when we're literally 2 days out from the start of the season, is beyond crappy. I have no other words to say on that. On Sam personally, I've known Sam since he was a student at NDSU. And he was up knocking it away in the press box when he was still a student up there covering things for the Spectrum, to then working in Devil's Lake. He got a job shortly after he graduated from college and was grinding away covering sports up in Devil's Lake. And I think he's talked about that, to then having a chance to work for a couple of different sites. And I know the late, great Brian McLaughlin got him a chance to work at Hero. And he was the leading, if there was a leading insider on what was happening in FCS football, it was Sam. It still is Sam. I think people would routinely read his stuff, and he would be getting scoops that no one else would get nationally wise in FCS football. We've had a chance to have him on here. I reached out to him 3.5 years ago, knowing, hey, we got to do something. I wanted to have a national segment. I wanted it earlier in the week to recap what we saw. And Sam's been a mainstay with us ever since. And I think in a very small way, I think we'd help him grow his platform because people knew he was going to be on our show each and every Monday. So he told me yesterday before it went public, and I was gutted. I hate to hear that, especially he just became a dad. So regardless of the job part of it and the work stuff, just the financial implications already, just thinking of that, I was beyond upset to hear that. And I put it out there yesterday, Sam's going to still be on our show. He's still tied in, and I made that commitment long before anything of this happened that we're still going to cover FCS football on this show. And we will, just because I know the amount of viewers we have that even in Fargo that are on to FBS are still interested in what's going to happen in the Missouri Valley Football Conference and what's going to happen to the Big Sky. We're not going to turn our back on that. It may be a lot smaller than what we did, but we're not going to do that, especially after the news that one went down yesterday. So we're thinking of him. He's going to be back with us tomorrow and go blazing forward after that. But just, it is tough times, folks, honestly, to be covering. There's more and more people going the independent route to do it, and you've got to make yourself, and I say this about this program, you've got to set yourself aside from others. You know, like what are we doing here that other people can't get anywhere else? You know, and I hope for us, we're trying to find guests or provide commentary, provide content that you're not going to get anywhere else. I think we have established that, especially for North Dakota and northwestern Minnesota, that we are the hub for that. You know, we're going to do stuff that I don't think you're going to find anywhere else. But that, in this modern media landscape, that's what you have to do. How do you set yourself? I mean, showing Twins highlights isn't unique to up here. We do it because I think, especially, you know, late night games, I don't know if people saw it. You know, we try to set ourselves up obviously apart with our coverage of Bison football, with UND football. Certainly high school football in the area is a big deal for us, but that's how it has to be done this day and age, because otherwise people just look on their phone. Like I can find out what the Twins did like that, right? You don't need Dom Izzo to tell you about that. Like that's the challenging part of what we're trying to do in 2026 in the modern sports media landscape. That's how do you stay ahead? How do you separate yourself? Sam's done it by providing content that no one else is covering, frankly, and putting a spotlight on it. And that leads to my next topic on this, because yesterday there's different schools all around the country announcing their starting quarterbacks for the upcoming year that had quarterback battles going in. I counted 3 separate schools yesterday that announced former FCS guys as their starters in their new environments. This is a list we made yesterday. Washington State is going with Caden Pinnock, who was the guy at UC Davis last year in the portal. Now he's a G6 quarterback. Tyler Hughes in the Mountain West Conference was a quarterback at William & Mary. Now he's a G6 quarterback at Wyoming. Braden Atkinson I met last year. He's the quarterback at Mercer. He won the Jerry Rice Award. I presented him the Jerry Rice Award when I was in Nashville last January for the award ceremony, and I knew at the time he was in the portal. Him and Andrew Zock, the standout defensive end who won the Buchanan. Zock ended up with his former coach, Mike Jacobs, at Toledo. Atkinson now is the starting quarterback at Oregon State. So you've got, there's 3 FCS guys alone. Not to mention the other quarterbacks we've detailed in the Mountain West that are going to be starting this upcoming year, which is up to 5 now. Half the league, counting North Dakota State, will have an FCS guy starting at quarterback this season. My point is, and I think it's been reemphasized over the last 18 months, is the level of football at that division. Well, I think we knew it was pretty good. Everybody else is waking up to the fact that, hey, there's some really good players in that level of football. And it's always get discounted as, well, how good is it? It's pretty bleeping good. I think we've seen that firsthand over the last handful of years, whether it's draft picks, whether it's guys transferring up and then becoming instant contributors on their G6 or even P4 teams. And you'll see more of this going forward. Even now, it's more of a spotlight for us to cover it, considering now the level of football that North Dakota State is playing in is at the G6 level, where you're going to look around like, okay, well, this guy played at Tennessee Tech, and here's a guy at Incarnate Word. This guy played at Western Carolina last year. Here's another that was at, give me another, Drake. Here's one that played at South Dakota State. Here's another that played in the Big Sky at Utah Tech, right? I'm just giving random schools here, but that's what we're talking about. That's the level of play that is happening consistently. And now it'll get even bigger spotlights, certainly, because that's how the food chain works, right? P4 players, some go on to the National Football League. Okay, where does the P4 replenish? They normally go to the Group of 6. Where does the Group of 6 replenish? They go to FCS football. And that's how and where does FCS go? Now you've seen it. They're going to the D2, D3 NAI world to find their players. That's the natural food chain now that's happening in college football. What's also happening in college football, and I swore we were only going to talk about this if there was something definitive. Well, after the mess that this weekend where Daquan Wright, the former Ole Miss and now former Cleveland Brown tight end who got released so he could go back to college because he could make more money at LSU. Well, the hammer apparently is set to fall. ESPN's Pete Thamel is reporting the Big Ten is set to pass a rule today that doesn't allow players to return from the NFL and play for a Big Ten school. Anyone who is declared for the NFL draft and who did not withdraw, appeared on an NFL roster, or signed a contract with a pro league cannot be on a Big Ten roster. Evidently, they're not alone. The Big 12 is set to enact something similar, along with the ACC. They're all set to join in. Now, the SEC is embroiled in its own deal here because they also have a rule where you can't transfer intra-conference. Wright played at Ole Miss. Now he's set to play at LSU for his old coach in Lane Kiffin. It's just a cluster you-know-what. But apparently, Ross Dellinger adds, conferences are exploring the idea of creating league-only rules banning pro players. I can't believe we have to have a rule on that. You're done with college. You're on to the pro. You've signed a pro deal. Like, come on. Something the SEC is expected to consider during this week's meetings. The Big Ten is meeting later today to consider a league-wide rule. The adults in the room got to do something. Maybe this is finally it to say, hey, you know what? It's over. You had your college time. It's time to move on. Beyond asinine right now. Let's break. We come back. Mike McFeely will join us. We're going to chat the Bison opener with Jacksonville State, talk some QB battles going on in the league, and his conversation with North Dakota State's new president. That's coming up when we return on a Tuesday morning edition of Hot Mike. We're back after this.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Yeah. Mike's appearance on Hot Mike is brought to you by Sunset Lanes of Moorhead.
All right, here it is. Hey, guess who's going to Sunset Lanes today?
Jack.
He is. The Jack man is going to Sunset Lanes today.
For what?
Oh, he's going.
Not that, I mean,
he's at the Y camp all week long.
Okay.
It's like kind of the ready for school. So yeah, he's going to be over there today.
All right.
So does he get a deal? Can I mention his name?
Does he need a bowling ball? Does he need some shoes? Does he need a bag to carry in?
All those things. Yes.
He can borrow my Storm shirt if he'd like.
Hey.
It might be a little big.
Might be.
But
he was like limbering up his arm this morning before he was.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
You love FBS football. It is here. We have reached game week, buddy boy. It's here on Saturday.
I mean, in December of 2020, or November or December of 2020, when
dark times.
When I was writing about this for the first time, first of all, I didn't think it would take 6 years to get here, because I was naive and optimistic, which is not my usual MO.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But it is here. I am very excited.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really big week for North Dakota State football, for the university, for the city of Fargo, and
I think the state.
I would hope for the state of North Dakota if
do too.
People could put aside their provincialism and hatred of Fargo and Imperial Cass County long enough to just enjoy the fact that an entity from North Dakota is going to regularly be on national television in a sport that has captivated the entire country. It's not a niche sport.
It's the number 2 popular sport.
It's the number 2 most popular sport in the country, and North Dakota now has a team in that subdivision.
In the highest division of it.
Yes, it's fantastic. It's great. It's great.
Are we going to have a sellout? What do you think?
Pretty close. I think they're under
500, right?
There's fewer than 500.
Okay.
Yeah. Like 450 or so. I'd say
trending in that direction.
They better hurry up and do some things.
It's Tuesday.
Either way, there's going to be, if everybody uses their tickets, there's going to be more than 18,000 people there, so it'll be a virtual sellout, even if it's not an official sellout. Yeah. Fans should be jacked up. It should be a celebration. I hope that NDSU has some like special things planned pregame to get the team out in the field and all this stuff. I think people are ready. The tailgate stuff sold out months ago.
Yeah, that was definitely done so.
I think that's going to be pretty wild out in the parking lots for people are excited. I'll say that. I don't know if at this point, and this is all just anecdotal, my sense of things, but I don't know that like the fan base has expanded yet because of this move, but I think it's re-energized those who are fans and those who were once really interested during the dynasty mode. Not that they were ever out of the dynasty mode, but the peak of the dynasty mode.
About 10 years ago.
Yep. I think those people are re-engaged.
Yeah.
At least many of them are re-engaged. And I can speak in a couple cases of people I know personally who are like, okay,
on board.
It's now let's go.
Let's go.
Let's see what this is all about.
So we have a handful of QB battles decided, but this morning we got the last drip of information out of Vegas. UNLV, Dan Mullen is going to go with 2 quarterbacks, something I think you and I talked about.
Yeah.
I think at least we texted about it, is that Alex Orji and Jackson Arnold are both going to play Saturday night for UNLV.
Yeah, and it's the old question of if you have 2 quarterbacks, do you have a quarterback?
Yeah.
And maybe they do, and Dan Mullen is an offensive genius. Although your guy and the namesake of the McMurphy Cup, Brett McMurphy, has now picked New Mexico. Like he revised his playoff picks. Yes. He's picking New Mexico above North Dakota State and UNLV.
By the way, New Mexico has its own quarterback issue too as well.
Right.
We'll get to that in a second.
I don't know if the namesake of the McMurphy Cup is keeping up with happenings in Albuquerque, but speaking of quarterback battles or dramas, but we're going to find out what UNLV has.
So Jackson Arnold was this can't-miss prospect out of high school that now can't win the job at his 3rd separate school, right? If I have that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously a super talented kid. That he was a 5-star recruit for what that's worth,
Correct.
and we all know how that stuff works.
Yep.
But he could not be the guy
Beat Alex Orji.
at Oklahoma. He couldn't be the guy at Auburn. Going down to a much lower level than those two schools.
No doubt.
He is not the clear-cut favorite at UNLV. But again, with Mullen, I don't know what's real and what's not, he's a big-time coach. He's been at the
highest
SEC,
of levels.
The highest of levels in
a
hotbed, insane state for football in Florida. And so what he says, I take with a major chunk of salt.
But this is a big game for the Mountain West on Saturday night. Both the Bison game here and the UNLV game with Memphis.
I think the UNLV game is bigger because that, if you believe the prognosticators, they are in the hunt for the G6 spot in the playoffs. And Memphis is a really good G6 team too, we think.
The American,
And so you would hope, if you're a fan of the Mountain West, that UNLV would win that game, because then that gives you
better chance,
legitimacy, and you would hope, as a fan of the league,
right? That's what I said yesterday.
That North Dakota State would beat Jacksonville State, because you don't want to lose to a Conference USA team, especially at home, even though it's your first FBS game. I mean, there are expectations on NDSU, right? I mean,
totally.
This is not like Missouri State getting invited to Conference USA. This is the Mountain West inviting North Dakota State, obviously for the $12.5 million, but also because they view North Dakota State as making their league stronger in football. They looked at the league and said, Boise State is gone, Fresno State is gone, San Diego State is gone. We need a football brand. And so they went and got NDSU. So, I mean, there's a lot riding on this.
So what Gloria Navarez told us when she was here in February, because I asked her about any stipulations or anything with the school, and she looked at me and goes, all we have is one thing: win, baby, win, is what she told me.
Yeah.
And that's what they expect and hope that she's going to do.
I was told by multiple people in the conference that they thought that NDSU had Boise State potential to replace Boise State. And because here's the truth about all of this is this is going to be a tougher road than people think for NDSU. Let's make that clear, okay? But if you look around the current Mountain West, I mean, New Mexico has never been very good in football. It just, last year was their first good year in many, many years.
Decades.
UNLV has been okay the last few years, but historically not very good.
Nope.
And so Air Force has always been pretty good.
Yep.
Hawaii's sort of a novelty item. They're good for a couple of years and they're not very good.
Yep.
But there's no school out there in the current league, maybe Wyoming.
I say Wyoming's been mediocre to okay.
But Wyoming and NDSU have this in common, that the fan bases care a lot. A lot. There are people invested in NDSU being good at football, which is one of the reasons why they've done what they've done for the last 60 years, is because people care. I don't know that people in Albuquerque or Vegas, if Vegas loses to Memphis on Saturday, is anybody in Las Vegas, Nevada going to care all that much?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
They're just not going to.
No.
And so it really, really matters to Fargo, to NDSU's alumni, to the donors, to the president, to the AD, to the other programs in the athletic department. Because if football takes off,
it helps everybody.
It helps the rising tide lifts all boats type of deal. And so that's where NDSU eventually, long term here, is going to have an advantage, and why they're going to be okay in this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever happens this year, whatever happens Saturday night, I'm not going to get too worked up about it because this all happens so fast.
Yeah. 6 months.
In a couple of years, okay, then let's see what you got.
Yeah. All right, let's break because I want to get full into Jacksonville State breakdown with you. Also, I want to talk with you about your interview with the new NDSU school president, with Dr. Marshall Stewart, about the Bison going international, potentially.
Maybe.
And a couple other topics. We'll do that other side of the break. Mike McFeely joins us here in studio. We'll back on Hot Mike right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Much more with our guy, Mike McFeely, joining us. All right, so you've been studying Jacksonville State tape for 6 months here since we found out the Bison were going to open up with the Gamecocks of Conference USA. Let's talk they have a 6'8", 6'8" wide receiver, DeAndre Johnson.
Let me say this first, okay? I don't mean to derail, but I'm going to.
Okay.
So, big picture here. This is like a sneaky, important game. Not in the overall like FBS thing.
Okay.
Like people, like the Bison's future long term is not going to be determined by this one game, right? You always want to win it.
Yeah.
But for this season.
Oh yeah.
I mean.
Oh yeah.
This is why this is fun, is because there's a lot riding on this game for this season.
Sets them
because
up. Mm-hmm.
If you win this game. And I think the last I saw, the Bison were favored by 7
on ESPN.
By ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
If you win this game and look at the rest of their home schedule, they'll be favored in the next 5 home games.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If they would happen to stay healthy, win the games, play well enough to win, that they'd be 6-0 in home games.
Yep.
Again, I'm not saying they're going to, but there's a potential for that if they win this game.
Yep.
You win 6 home games, all you got to do is go 3-3 on the road, and you have 9 wins.
9, yeah.
And you're not going to the Idaho Potato Bowl, I don't think, with 9 wins.
I don't think so either. But
if you lose this game, you go, well, okay, so what do we have here? You know, how good are the Bison? Did they lose so much production from a year ago that they can't replace that there's a chance they go 6-6 here? You know,
yep.
I mean, and so it's,
yep.
Maybe it's obvious, but I was thinking about this the other day. This is a pretty sneaky big game.
It's a swing game in game 1 of the season, which seems crazy to say that out loud.
You know? It's like you kind of go, okay,
right.
If they play well and win, whether it's by 1 or 10,
yep.
And you go, okay, maybe there's something here.
Right. And if not?
And if they don't,
right.
And the offense has trouble moving the ball, or the offensive line can't get any push, or
they can't stop anybody defensively.
Or Nathan Hayes goes, and can't. And I'm not predicting any of these things are going to happen.
Yeah.
But if they happen, you go, well, okay, this season's might buckle up. It's going to be a little hurricane ride.
Maybe bumpier
here.
Than we thought.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Speaking of, the Johnson cat from Jack State is 6'8".
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the tallest wide receivers they've seen in recent memory. You know, Kolbeck and I were talking about Ramses Barton.
They had one on their own team who was 6'5" or 6'6".
Zach Mathis was 6'6".
But I think more importantly than that, and I think Tim referenced this the other day in an interview on the radio. Like they send him all over the field.
Yeah.
I have no life. I got to make a point that I've watched some of these games from last year on YouTube that Jacksonville State was involved in, and he's not like a one-trick pony. This DeAndre Johnson, and he can catch the ball.
Uh-huh.
I don't know that he's a burner necessarily, but he's 6'8".
Yeah.
And so if you're a cornerback is 5'11",
Right.
I ain't no good at math.
Stands to reason.
That's 9 inches that you have on the cornerback, which I don't know. I played enough basketball to know that some guy that's 9 inches taller than me is going to be able to go over me every single time, and I'm not going to be able to get the ball. But that's the interesting thing with DeAndre is they'll send him over the middle of the field, and he'll catch a seam route or a crossing pattern. He'll go to the sideline. Yep. He'll go deep. They'll just throw it up for him deep on a 50-50 ball, which is more like a 70-30 ball.
When you're 6'8".
When you're 6'8". So it's interesting. He's I was going to give him his number, but we don't need to because he's 6'8". So fans will be able to pick him out right away.
What do we make of their quarterback? Caden Creel ran for over 1,000 yards. He passed for over 1,000 yards last year. I've been watching tape the last couple of days. He looks like Bo Brungard to me, the Youngstown State quarterback.
Yeah, I'm not an NFL scout or anything like that, but I know that Bo Brungard has been mentioned in some scouting reports as potentially being some sort of NFL player. I don't know if this young man doesn't look as athletic as Brungard does to me.
Yeah.
But he's accurate. On short to medium passes. I looked up the Pro Football Focus stuff the other day for what it's worth, and the coaches will tell you that it's all worth. Well, it is what it is. But he completed in the regular season last year, Caden Creel completed 8 passes that were thrown longer than 20 yards. That's not a short pass that goes for 20. That's throwing the ball in the air 20-plus yards.
Got it.
He was 8 of 24. On deep balls. I just said a deep ball, right?
Yep. It is.
So he's 8 of 24 regular season on deep balls, which is 33%, which I don't think is going to scare many defensive coordinators. Where they make their money, so to speak, and this ain't LSU, so it's not as much money, but where they make their money is it's all short stuff. He threw 60% of his passes, according to PFF, either behind the line of scrimmage or 0 to 9 yards. So it's all screens
bubble stuff,
screens and little short, quick passes.
Okay.
And it again, I don't know anything, but it looks like they had a really good running back last year. So they
did,
and they like to run the ball.
It's in the Big 12 now.
They'll run it up the middle between the tackles, off tackle, a few times. Then they'll throw a quick one out to the side, or throw a screen, or throw a little swing pass to the running back, and then have that athlete try to make some plays. Yep. And so that's what my amateur eyes saw in the handful of games that I watched.
I want to, before we wrap here, I got to ask about your conversation with new NDSU president, Dr. Marshall Stewart. And you ran the gamut on stuff. You can read it right now, inforum.com, on a bunch of topics. 2 that stand out to me. One was the idea of playing internationally.
Yes.
Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, and he brought that up without me asking specifically.
Okay.
That came up in the new president likes to talk. Lots of words there. But my question was, like, he's talked a couple times about needing to increase revenue for athletics at North Dakota State. So I said, what does that look like in the real world?
Yep.
And he ran the gamut of things, and then he brought up, unprompted by me, the possibility of an international game, because Kansas State last year, where he was, played Iowa State in Dublin.
Correct.
And President Stewart was involved with that because he was the vice president of engagement or something, whatever. And so he was dealing with the airline. Aer Lingus is the Irish airline that sponsored the game and maybe paid I don't know how it worked, but he ran that whole show. And so he brought up that it's not so much that you make a bunch of money off that, but the exposure and the attention and the sense of university pride that you get in doing that leads to people getting involved then back home. He said Kansas State brought about 15,000 fans with them. Iowa State did the same. And he said it was people. He said, we lost the game. He's speaking as a Kansas State guy at the time. So, but he said, you will not find one person, athlete, coach, or player, or fan or booster that was disappointed in the loss, not disappointed in the trip at all. It was fantastic.
Man, that'd be something else to have that maybe as a possibility.
What I'll say is, first of all, this is not going to happen like next year,
right?
If it happens at all. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the teams that are doing this, it's not a group of 6 schools.
No, these are the power schools.
These are
North Carolina and TCU are going this week.
Kansas State and Iowa State are probably 2 of the quote unquote lesser schools that have done this. It's Notre Dame obviously has gone to Ireland. And schools like that have Nebraska.
Nebraska went a couple years ago. Yeah, Northwestern went with them.
Yep. And so that's the type of school. I don't know, but somebody's got to be the first,
right? You got to do something with that. Last thing before we go, you asked about Matt Larson's future because obviously we know the Iowa State job is open.
Yeah,
we certainly know who the Iowa State president is.
David Cook.
What did you expound on that a little bit when you asked him about that?
He just said, I want to keep him here. We've talked about when they were on their trip around the state when President Stewart first got here. They went on a tour of the state.
Yeah.
He said they were in the car together for most of this trip, and he said he brought it up with Matt Larson. Said if something is going down, if somebody's nosing around, he said let me know, talk to me. And he agreed that he would do that.
Okay.
And I said, okay. But and he's right. He said, he's probably on Iowa State's list, but he's probably on a lot of lists. Because if you look at the resume and the success
absolutely
in the last 10 years or 12, 13 years, he's like, I'm sure he's on a lot of lists.
Makes sense on that. We got to go. Email comes in, though. Dom, can you ask, is Mike leading the Bison out on Saturday to start the FBS era? Can you confirm or deny that?
I can deny that because even if I was asked to do that, I would catch my foot on the turf trip and then be stampeded by 113.
Now, that would be memorable.
That would go viral. As my death would be, it would slow down the momentum of the game.
Have to stop the game for a little bit.
Have to stop the game and bring an ambulance on the field to take my dead corpse. My wife would be upset, probably.
I'm sure she probably shed a few tears.
Big decision for her. Like, does she stay for the game or, like, it's going to be a big game. So I can see Michelle going,
it's kind of 50-50 on that.
It's a big game.
We'll see you on Saturday. We'll actually see you later today. Tim Polisic press conference coming up 1:30. You'll see it on WDAY Plus and
the FCS to FBS guy on Twitter summed it up on Monday. He said, this week is actually here.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's awesome. It's definitely here. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next week. Mike McFeely joins us each and every Tuesday. His appearances are brought to us by Sunset Lanes out of Moorhead. We'll take a break. We come back. Hour 2 is on deck here on a busy football Tuesday. We'll do that when we come back.
This is Hot Mike with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll. Busy football Tuesday rolls on. Steve Laqua will join us, head coach of the Dragons, in a half hour. MSUM's got its opener on Thursday night against Northern Michigan. Mayville State plays its opener coming up on Saturday as they're on the road in Iowa to take on Briar Cliff. Great to welcome back head coach Rocky Larson to the show as the Comets get set for a new year in 2026. I thought I was traveling a lot this year with the Bison. I'm looking at you're going to Iowa, you're going to Oklahoma, you're going to Arizona this year. We talked last year, I think, on your trip to California. You're putting the miles on again this year.
Yeah, no, we have 6 away games this fall and five in different states. So the AD put us in a tough scheduling conflict again, and here we go. So we're looking forward to it. We went down to Wisconsin, so that's really 6 states we've played football in last week to get a simulated game and a simulated overnight. We were bad on the road last year. I mean, we've talked about we weren't anywhere where we needed to be on the road, so we needed some. With as much travel and as much wheel and bus time and flight time as we're going to have, we have to be able to play better on the road. So definitely something we're trying to get ready. But, man, it doesn't matter. The kids remember those road trips more than anything at the end of their playing career, right? It's you get away from campus, you get to be with your buddies, you get to be with the 60 guys you've worked all summer with, all all off season, and you get away from campus. So I actually really enjoy those road games once you get to Oklahoma, and the drive down there is no fun.
By the way, Rocky's the AD as well. So for people that don't know, he's also the AD at Mayville State. Give us the update. How did camp go? And now getting ready for game 1 on Saturday.
Yeah, we reported 136 kids.
Wow,
it's a good number for us. And we're happy with the numbers. We had 85 go through spring football last year, and being able to return that many kids. You return 18 starters, and that's I haven't been here or been around anywhere that we can return that much production. We returned 91% of our rushing yards. Everyone who caught a pass but one pass last year is back. We returned 9 kids who got carries for us. So it's a unique, it's different around here fall camp, that it's not reinstalling how we play football. It's not reinstalling the culture. It's not reinstalling all that stuff. It's more putting the bow on it and make sure we have everything we want ready to go for Saturday night. But you talk, fall camp flew by. I mean, normally some days it feels like it's crawling by, but all of a sudden it's game week and we're sitting around and we've punted the ball 3 times. Like we got to make sure we're ready to go and putting everything in place. But I've been really pleased with this group. They've worked incredibly hard, and I think we got a lot of really good kids on our football team.
Rocky, what did you learn from year 1 in the Frontier? Like the type of players maybe you thought, and what did you see firsthand? Like, okay, this is the type of players we need if we're going to compete in this new league.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed is the size, right? I mean, there's a difference in size, and that's in every sport, Dom. I think you look at the basketball court, and man, there's all kinds of stuff. But the thing that I realized in a hurry is retention became the number one tool, right? Is we started 3 freshmen for us last year that were really good players. We need those kids to come back and be sophomores and give them a great experience and make sure they're taken care of. And all 3 of those kids came back, and they need to grow up with us. And in today's day of transfer portal and NIL, like, you have all that world going on, is how can you retain your really good young players and have them grow up in your program? Because if those kids can become sophomores and juniors and seniors that are 4-year, 3-year starters for you, you have a chance. Right. And as you watch some of those schools in Montana, and those kids are all juniors and seniors. They're 21, 22 years old. They've stuck with the program. They've grinded it out. Where, we've been young the last couple of years, is that difference in age and difference in, has it changed our recruiting? Absolutely. We have to go get a better caliber kid if we want to continue to compete in the Frontier. But overall, I thought it was a really competitive league. I think every Saturday you got to be ready to go. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure you have continuity in your staff and continuity with your roster to give yourself a chance in this league.
Give us a couple of guys. I know you don't want to spotlight. I'm going to ask you to anyway. A couple of guys that you're counting on here in 2026.
Yeah, first and foremost, Kelby Azure was at NDSU there for a year, coming back being a 4-year starter for us at tight end. He's a kid that has grown up. He's been an incredible football player, an incredible leader. We're really looking forward to him. A surprise name, Peyton McGregor, West Fargo. He's had a really good fall camp. He's grown up a lot. He's done a lot of really good things. And then our backfield room on the offensive side of the ball, when you go Jack Simmers from Grand Forks, Isaiah Smith, he's a 29-year-old junior. He's been playing for a while, but he's still got some years of eligibility left. That's a great thing about college athletics. And Darnell Green, a really fast kid in the slot, and Landon Olson, Hillsboro. And then on the defense side of the ball, Marcus Johnson. He's a really good player for us. He's a Bemidji State transfer. And then DeAnthony Thompson, our middle linebacker, stands 6'3", 215. He had some looks this offseason to go somewhere else and chose to came back. Definitely a kid we're looking forward to. And then holding down that back end for us, Zyler Carlson, a kid from Findlay, North Dakota. He's going on year 4 of starting for us. He started his first year at receiver, and then the last 3 years at free safety, a kid that can really hold it down back there. So, yeah, we got a good as we went through it, our good kids who are getting older are local kids from that 50-mile radius of continuing to get the kids and keep them home and play them right here at Mayville State.
How much, going back to the travel part of this, does that sell on the recruiting part as well? Hey, we're going to go to California. We're going to go to Oregon. We're going to go to Montana a couple times. Is that something you're using in the pitch now to get some local guys to come play for you?
And it's changed where we recruit, if anything, Dom. I think the local kids is, hey, you're going to get a whole life experience here. And when we go down and play in Oklahoma, we're going to stop at Kansas State and practice, and Hayden Gibson hooked us up down there and doing some really cool things that typically wouldn't have happened in the old North Star.
Yeah.
The other thing we're doing is changing where we recruit. We can go in recruit Arizona because we play a home game in Arizona for those kids this year where families can come watch them. We can do more. We've taken a different approach of, hey, where are we playing? When can mom and dad? Is it easier for them to get here than if we played elsewhere?
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, it's changed. But we talk about it all the time. Is hey, we're taking a plane out to Arizona. You're going to be there for 4 days. Arizona State's off that week, so we're going to be able to practice at Arizona State and have that treatment. Like it's a lot more front end work in May and June to make sure we have all this set up. But it's our job to make sure the kids have a firsthand experience of what it means to play college football and college athletics and take care of them the right way when we're on the road.
For people maybe that found out how good the league is, I look at the preseason NAIA poll and I count 6 teams in the Frontier ranked in the top 25. That doesn't grab your attention or your players' attention. Nothing will about what you have coming up this year.
No question. And, we talk about it. It's the SEC. I'm a Big Ten guy, so it's the Big Ten of big-time college football, right? And it doesn't matter what day of the week it is, you have to be ready to play. And your crossover, there is no such thing as a day off. And, we finished 5-6 last year, have a good year. Preseason, we're 6 out of 7 in the East. And, that's we feel like we have momentum. We feel, and then you get the preseason polls come out and 6 out of 7, and that's okay. That we'll see where it ends up.
Right.
But the league is really talented. I think Valley City and what Coach McCulloch has done is incredible. Pete Stanton, obviously, one year where they were down a little bit. I'm not buying that they'll be bound back-to-back years.
Probably not.
I think they'll probably figure it out and get right back to where they were. So the really cool thing is the North Dakota football schools who are in the Frontier have also all elevated and gotten a lot better. So it's been really good for everyone in the state of North Dakota to have a higher level of competition at our small rural institutions.
We're going to put your schedule up here. We talk about Briarcliff in a second. You mentioned you got to go to Oklahoma. You play Oklahoma Panhandle State, which is another long trip after that. Then the home opener with Morris, which got to be a big deal. When you're putting a schedule together, how much when you look at what the league does and then what you do in the non-conference of how you put things together here?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and it's one we had a conversation about this morning. Is as I'm sitting here, as college football starts on Thursday, and you got Dickinson versus Midland. That's a Frontier GPAC game. Yep. That's a crossover game. Then go Dickinson, right?
Yeah,
we want our Frontier to hold on. You got Valley City, Southwest State. We want the Frontier to go win these. And when we join the Frontier, our arc is the Sooner, right? So the Sooner and the Frontier are in the same arc fighting for playoff spots. Well, our conference champ, Montana Tech, is playing their conference champ Thursday night in Montana Tech versus Ottawa. We need Montana Tech to play really well in that game. But at the same time, how this ties in, we scheduled a middle-of-the-road team in the arc of Oklahoma Panhandle State. Next week, everyone in the Frontier is going to be cheering for Mayville State to go find another win against that arc. The GPAC is it's the Big Ten SEC, right? Those are the 2 best leagues in the country. When we went out and scheduled, we're 5-6. We scheduled the 6-5 Briarcliff team. Why? That's going to be a really good football game, and there's a lot of conference alignment of, hey, we want every front. We want to go undefeated against the GPAC in that league, and that's definitely scheduled into how we scheduled.
What do we know about Briarcliff that you're preparing for on Saturday?
Man, they returned 16, 17 starters. They're really good on offense. I think the quarterback is better than people give him credit for. Their left tackle might be the best tackle in the whole country. He stands 6'9". We don't have anyone that stands 6'3", I don't think, on our D-line. So we're going to have to get under pads and find a way to make it close. Their receivers can play. They return all 4 defensive backs. We want to find a way to hang in the game and make it close in the fourth quarter, and it's going to come down to one possession either way. We know that, and it's we got to find a way to get some stops and get a few first downs and get on a drive. But we want the game to be, if we're in it in the fourth quarter, find a way to close it. But I also understand you go on the road in week 0 and play a night game at someone else's, and the environment and this is college football.
Yeah.
You get to go be the villain on opening night of a new head coach's first opening night, a night game, open everything. we're going to have to be ready to play if we want to stay in that football game. But our kids, they're ready. I mean, you get sick. We're day 22 of fall camp right now. It's time to go hit someone else and play for real.
Now, you mentioned the different states. You went to a different state last weekend. You went and scrimmaged at River Falls, who's the reigning D3 champions. What was that experience like last weekend?
Man, it was surreal. I mean, I spent 10 years of my life at UW River Falls. I was a student there. I was a coach there for 4 years as a defensive coordinator. It was really cool. I got to see my mom. I got to see my grandfather. My whole family came down to watch us, my college buddies. It was a really cool experience. And to get to see that team who's coming off a national championship,
right.
who they're still really good. I can confirm that. Whoever's like, they can still play at a high level. And for our kids to see that speed in a real live situation, it can't hurt us. It can only help us. It could have hurt us. We got out of there completely healthy. That's the number one thing. We lost our D end, Zach Sermano, but other than that, we got out of there healthy. But for our kids to get on a bus, and you want to know the really cool thing, Dom, is this summer I was texting back and forth. We've normally scrimmaged at junior college, and it's been they come in and move the ball, and we've had success against them in a scrimmage. And I text the captains. I said, all right, we have two options. We can stay at home and scrimmage a junior college, and I'll pay someone to come over here, or I'll put us on a bus and we'll go scrimmage in that defending Division III national champs. What do you want to do? And within 2 minutes, all four captains said, put us on a bus right now. We need to go get better. 3 years ago, that doesn't happen. And I think it's a testament to the kids we have. I think it's a testament to our leadership. And it was a really good learning experience for us, and hopefully shows up on Saturday night.
I've seen on your social media feed, I know that's not real, so I ask you, it seems like, though, there's palpable buzz for your program and school. You're there? Is that accurate?
I feel it for sure. I think our president, Dr. Van Horn's done an incredible job continuing to build on the old Maine. We have a positive light, and it's not me. It's not the football program. It's not everything as a school right now. I believe when enrollment numbers are coming out, we're in good shape in enrollment. You have 137 kids on your football team. Our baseball team's got 70 kids. Like, we have a lot of momentum right now. It's really good to be back in classes and see these kids. But, man, am I excited to get to go on Saturday night and continuing to see what we have. And we'll figure out if that momentum's real or fake in a hurry on Saturday night about 6:05.
I appreciate you always doing this. Safe travels. Good luck on Saturday, and we'll talk throughout the year, okay?
Hey, thanks, Dom. Thanks for everything you do, and go Comets.
Appreciate it. There he is, Rocky Larson, head coach of the Mayville State football team. They open up Saturday with Briarcliff, part of a great opening weekend of games across North Dakota as we're here. College football is ready to rock and roll. We're not waiting around. The Cobbers are the only one we got to wait for. They go a week from Saturday to start 2026. We appreciate Rocky giving us a few minutes there. All right, we'll break. When we come back, we have breaking uniform news regarding the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikes have dropped some new unis. We'll share those when we return on Hot Mic on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Our thanks to Rocky Larson for joining us. Good stuff there as we get ready for the opener for the Comets coming up on Saturday. Steve Laqua will join us here in about 10 minutes' time to get ready for the Dragon opener, talk some Jack Strand as well, starring in the National Football League. And I'm not saying that loosely because he has so far through the first couple weeks. Speaking of the NFL, today the NFL announced the rivalries jerseys. Now, for those that don't know what in the world I'm talking about, join the party. Last year, the NFL started a new rivalry jersey section for select divisions to wear. I believe last year was the AFC East because the Jets had one, and the NFC West because the Rams, the Seahawks, Cardinals one was actually pretty cool, did it last year. This year, the NFC North is in the party, which means your Minnesota Vikings have another jersey and helmet that they'll be wearing for their matchup against the Detroit Lions. And without further ado, here is what they look like. This is what the Vikings will wear on December the 20th against Detroit. With a new helmet, I'm going to try and avoid all of the reading on this because I always enjoy when teams describe what the uniform is because the descriptions are always so impressive. The Nordic knot pattern, you see that on the shoulders. The Nordic knot pattern in the uniform mimics the knots found on the Gallahorn at U.S. Bank Stadium. The pants, the pattern comes to a point on the pant to symbolize a sword. So there's that. All right, now on the color story, the deep purple, which I honestly I don't mind that. The helmet is sweet. Let's just go with that. The helmet is A+. I'm on board with that. The purple dynasty color is inspired by the past to inform the future. The ivory is the color from our Gallahorn, more earthly and natural, but rich. And then you have metallic gold, the history of Vikings trading materials and their artistry with precious metals. And then finally, the new word mark. You can see that across the top. For those watching on television or online, the Vikings word mark there underneath the NFL logo. It says new Vikings word mark heavily inspired by the more chiseled structure seen in rune carvings. See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, what? Just say it's a new word mark that we're using for this particular game. I appreciate it because everybody's got to have a job. That somebody's got to have, like the art department of the team has got to have this. So then when they unveil it, they've got one other thing to say. By the way, on the helmet, the uniform features skull transcribed in rune characters that were used during the Viking Age. You can see that on the helmet. The point mimics the nose piece on a historical Vikings helmet. That's actually kind of cool. If they just ended with that and didn't add all the other stuff, we've been okay. So that's what the Vikings are doing. Ben, keep that up because I'm going to switch graphics here as we go. So let's go now to Detroit. Here's what the Lions are doing. Now, that helmet is not new. They wore that, I want to say last year, a couple years. That's their alternate helmet with the blue and the black Lion logo. That doesn't do much for me, honestly, what Detroit did here. I'm not sure anything is really different about what the Lions are rolling with. Here's the Bears. Now, watch your eyesight, folks, here. That's Chicago. The orange, this looks like Syracuse. This looks like the Syracuse orange. It's a carbon copy from the helmet to the pants to the shirt. That looks exactly the same what Syracuse rolls out. Go Google a photo of Donovan McNabb, 1998. 1997, Donovan McNabb at Syracuse, and tell me that's not the exact same uniform that the Bears are trying to do there. All right, lastly, protect your eyes, folks. Here's the Packers. Benell's on off today, or else I'd rail him on this. What is that? Well, I don't know what they're doing. The helmet is okay. We talked about this last year when the Bison brought out their white helmet, which I have not received confirmation if they're wearing again this year. We'll find out. Question 1A at the press conference today. The jersey's just okay. I don't know what you're messing with the green in the Packers. That's like the most iconic color that the National Football League has of any of its teams next to Dallas. So, honestly, if I'm ranking them here, the Vikes are way out here. Vikes by a million. I would go Minnesota, probably Chicago, Green Bay, Detroit for ranking the uniforms here. I don't know the other division that came out. Well, wait, maybe we'll do that at the end of the show on that. But that's the Vikes will rock that December the 20th for their game against Detroit. The article that the Vikings put out on Vikings.com, some fans may ask, why not black? Though an all-black uniform can certainly present a stark, intimidating on-field look, it's also a concept several teams across the league have already utilized. Vikings art director, see, they have an art director. Vikings art director Jackie Ramacher noticed the desire to differentiate Minnesota's dark mode expression from opponents to make it uniquely Vikings. We thought, how can we find the deepest purple that's available that still kind of gives this dark feel, but is really only something that we can own? We were really excited when Nike came to us with this color, the Purple Dynasty, which is kind of as dark as we could go while still remaining purple. They are going to wear the white uniforms again. That's coming up as well at the end of the season. They've done that for the last 3 years. I'm on board with that. Honestly, I saw a mini white Vikings helmet at Shields the other day. I'm like, we might have to get that, add that to the collection here, because that one's pretty sharp on that. This helmet, let's go. People from the Vikings watch the show. I know. Feel free when you got a mini helmet. We'll put that back here because that one looks pretty good. So the article, this is hilarious. When we look at creating uniforms or design, we're imagining our players as the modern-day Vikings preparing for battle. And for the rivalry's concept, the art director adds, it's like Ragnarok is happening on the North Shore. Her creative idea really drove some of the art. Ragnarok, by the way, for anybody who's seen the Thor movies, that's the end of everything. I'm not sure if it's going to be the end of everything. Maybe it's the end of everything for the Lions that particular day. See, we're getting a little over the top here when we're explaining our uniforms these days. And I'm the biggest culprit. We talk about it. We publicize it. We make it a big deal. I get it. I'm probably number one culprit on this. I'll take all the blame because I enjoy talking about it. This is a bit much. That's all I'll say. Speaking of uniforms, when we come back, our favorite guest will divulge what the Dragons are wearing on Thursday night. MSUM opens a new season against Northern Michigan. We'll preview that with Steve Laqua when we come back on Hot Mic on a Tuesday morning. Back after this.
With Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour here on a busy Tuesday morning. I already got the usual suspects emailing me on uniforms. We'll read those before we leave. My next guest loves uniform chat. As the Dragons get set to open up 2026 at home Thursday night over at Shields Field at 7 o'clock as the Dragons will welcome in Northern Michigan to open up 2026. Our pleasure to start another year with our guy Steve Laqua. I believe this is year 15 of us doing this. Does that sound right?
It sounds about right.
Holy cow.
That is pretty good streak we got going.
You want to break news? What are you wearing? What's the uniform combo for Thursday night?
We are going red top, white bottom. That's
there we go.
Pretty standard for our home opener. So that was a pretty easy decision. So yeah.
We didn't have a lot of hand-wringing on that. Before we talk about your current team, we got to talk about your quarterback because this is something else that's going on, your old quarterback, I should say. Jack Strand did it again, Steve, on Saturday for Atlanta. Yesterday, Pat McAfee's talking about him. I mean, this has become one of the stories of the NFL preseason is on Jack Strand.
Yeah, I think the cool part is that, it started, I think, as a cool story because it was a good story of, hey, he's undrafted, he's Division II, he decided to stay. He didn't take the NIL. Wow, what a different guy. This is a cool story. And I think now it's starting to transition to this is a cool story because he's a good quarterback. And so I think that transition from good story to good quarterback is pretty cool to see. And obviously 1 game or 2 games is not enough to make it, but you've got to be able to keep doing it. But he's had 2 opportunities. He's done great in 2 opportunities. Hopefully he can do that again this weekend.
I have to ask the play caller with the Dragons, did you utilize his legs enough? I saw the rushing touchdown he had Saturday. The kid can move, too.
We probably didn't overall in the grand scheme of things. I know we did in the last game against Mankato. He ran a fair amount.
He did.
And, it was one of those things where we always had to kind of, weigh the pros and cons of, okay, we can run him and gain some yards, but there's hits, there's, the durability factor over time, and what happens if we lose them? And so it's kind of one of those things you don't want to be reckless with your car in busy traffic if it's, a pretty nice car. And so if you got a bent up, beat up little Ford Pinto or something like that, I don't know, then it's probably okay. And so those were things that we took into account and, good or bad, I don't know. It's easy to say if he stays healthy, hey, we should have done it more. If he doesn't, you're like, what are we doing? This guy's an NFL armed quarterback and we're trying to run him around. What are we thinking?
How much fun does it look like he's having? Looks like he's having a ton of fun right now.
I thought it looked like he had some joy playing in this game. I think that was there. It was great to see the intensity, the emotion, that the spike into the end zone on that touchdown. That gave me goosebumps. And I mean, he might have to get ice on his arm after throwing that thing down in there. And so I think that was the great part, that he wasn't playing, he was playing free, playing fun, playing to go out there and win games and play well. And I think that's when people are at their best, when they don't have to worry about, am I going to make the team? They can just be in the moment and do what they do.
It's a great story, and the way he's played, Atlanta's going to have a hard decision not keeping him on the team. Just my thought, because if they try to get him through the practice squad, somebody else is going to grab him. I really believe that.
I do think it is going to be hard for him to keep him on the practice squad.
Right.
I feel like you're right. Somebody's going to be there, and that's good. He's put a good tape out there, but he's also put some buzz out there that people are aware, and they're like, hey, we better check this guy out. And so that helps him. I think, in the grand scheme of things, I hope they keep him because he spent a lot of time there. He's learning the system. He's getting comfortable. He's got all those other things to adjust to outside of the game of football. And so if he can avoid having to go to a new locker room, a new city, a new place to live, and he can just stay and keep that part of his life safe, I think it gives him the best chance to be able to succeed big picture.
So the Falcons play their final preseason game coming up, I believe, on Friday against Miami, which I believe Cam Miller is going to be playing, which both of those guys, their quarterback coach is one Tony Racioppi, who we've had on the show. That's a pretty unique deal in its own right that both Cam Miller and Jack Strand could start against one another on Friday.
I think that's really cool. I think we got to get Tony on the show.
Yes.
We got to work on that. Put that on your to-do list. But I think that was the really cool thing. You start to throw things together as this story unfolds. But same quarterback coach, but Easton Stick runs a summer camp for quarterbacks. Well, Jack was at it. Cam was at it. Yep. Obviously, Easton's at it. The run of quarterbacks that NDSU has had that have been in the NFL, I think it was a great kind of melting pot of people to get together, see how they compare, see what they can do, and kind of exchange information and grow together. And so I think it's really cool when you start looking at the Fargo-Moorhead area, how many quarterbacks are in the conversation during this preseason. And however, it shakes out. But I think that's really cool. There's a lot of great football right here in the Metro.
No doubt about that. Have your interview requests gone up? I'm surprised you didn't big-time me now that you got a quarterback in the NFL.
I can't say they've gone up too much. We did have one interview request. I know we talked to the sideline reporter from Fox that was doing the game before the preseason, Coach Check and I, just trying to get some background. And honestly, when I'm listening, I'm like, well, they probably need something to talk about in a preseason game. You got a bunch of no-namers playing that nobody wants to watch. Probably going to be a blowout game. Like, they got to find something. I mean, they're asking for pictures. I mean, you're hard up if you got a picture of me, you're going to potentially put on TV with Jack Strand. So,
man,
it was good though. I think they got some background information, understood the story a little bit better, and then obviously I don't know that they needed to talk a lot about that because it's plain.
Oh man,
stuff to talk about at that point. So that was good.
It's been awesome to watch. The last time we had John was right before camp got going. Now camp's done. You're playing a football game Thursday. Tell me how the last month has gone.
Well, I think it's been really good in the fact that our team is really young. I think they did get some maturity. That's what I was concerned about. Would we have some competitive composure as we went through camp? I think we did a good job with that, growing into maturity. I think it's still an untested team. We are going to have to answer the bell because adversity will strike. It does in every game all season. And then can we answer that bell and do a great job getting up off the mat, whatever it is? And so I think we've got a strong leadership group. They're the ones that are going to have to lead through it. Obviously, there's going to be ups and downs with new and young guys of just inconsistency. We've got to get over that. We've talked about the first step in winning football games is not beating yourself. And so, hey, let's make sure that we continue to be one of the least penalized teams in the entire country. Let's make sure we continue to take care of the football, do the things that win football games. And if we can do that, we're going to be in good shape, I really believe.
So the obvious question is, Steve, quarterback, where are you at in a decision of what you're going to do on Thursday night?
Well, I think we got a plan within the walls here of how we're going to start the game and then kind of go from there. And I do think there's some piece of what is Northern Michigan going to do with a new staff. We don't know exactly what we're going to see defensively. And does that open up the door to a different kind of quarterback path? And so we've got kind of a handful of ways things could play out. And so some will be dictated by them. Some will be dictated by us and how we play and what we want to push the tempo-wise. But so I think we're in a good spot. We feel really good about the competency of all the quarterbacks. Now they got to go out and do it with the light shining bright.
What have you seen through the quarterback competition throughout the fall camp?
Well, good and bad. You've seen a lot of high-level plays where you're like, hey, we can win with this guy. Yeah. He's making football plays. And then you probably turn around and go, oh, boy, we can't win if we make these plays. The the inconsistency. And so we just got to be able to raise our floor, play at a consistent level. And if we do that, we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to make Jack Strand type throws. We don't have to make the hero plays. We just need to make everyday plays consistently within the offense. And there's enough talent that we have out there that will be just fine.
Defensively, what stood out for you over the last month? Say, okay, we can make some plays on that side of the ball.
Well, I think there's a lot of guys that they're stepping into things. I think, defensively, you look at what Zach Dahl building on where he was last year. I think he's going to be able to have a great chance making some plays. I think Dean Lemke, is a true freshman that got some good reps. Hopefully he's ready to hit the ground and play. I think Denver Piowski was disruptive through the course of the year last year. Maybe stat line didn't say that, but he disrupted the game enough that they had to put double teams to him and opened up things for other people. And so I think if those guys can get going and create some havoc in the box, defensively, we're going to be in a good spot.
We've got to talk here as we look at your season schedule. Your first two games are at home. I don't know if you've ever had that. I'll put that out since you've been head coach, but how big an opportunity is that with the first two here to get some momentum rolling to start 2026?
Well, definitely important how that plays out, especially with the way Labor Day weekend falls. They're 2 Thursday night games back to back, so not having to travel on those, it's a huge advantage, I feel like. And so we knew we were going to have a young team. That's part of the reason we had a veteran team last year. We said, hey, we would take the road trip with a veteran crew, knowing that we wouldn't have to do it this year. And so there's a little bit of kind of foreplanning of trying to get a young team off to the right start. And so hopefully we can do that. And it's really tough anytime it's a new season with new guys. But to not have to sit around in a hotel all day waiting for a 6 o'clock game is a definite benefit. That we got a little bit of routine. They can get to class for a while. They can be in their own homes. That'll be fine.
And then you have back-to-back trips to Sioux Falls, which is unique in its own right after that.
Well, as a coach who likes structure and routine, it works out perfectly because it's back-to-back weeks. We can take the exact same trip. So same hotel, just a week later, same food, same everything. If we're a little bit short on the food, we can get it adjusted for the next week and be like, hey, we need a little bit more of this, a little less of this. So from that standpoint, I really like the convenience of it. Now, it's 2 difficult games that we're going to have to play on the road. That's our league. That's the way it rolls.
Now, I also should mention here, as you look at the schedule for the home games this year, all Dragon home games you'll be able to watch on WDAY2 this year for the first time. So that's a big-time deal. You're back on television for the entire season. Describe the excitement level about that.
Well, I think that's huge. We've committed to recruiting locally, regionally for a long time since I've been here, because I do believe the people in the region have enough good players here to represent this region. And so to now be able to be seen and kind of have that brand and that style of play watched as we go through, I think it's just better. And I get that, not everyone maybe is going to grow up dreaming about being a Dragon, but hey, if they're able to watch the Dragons a little bit more, hey, that becomes a more realistic thing, a more goal-oriented thing for them. And so I think if we can continue to play good football, I think it's a great partnership. Really excited about it.
And the team's coming, Steve, this year. Northern's coming, Duluth, and Mankato. Those are the 3 headliners. To have them on TV here, we're really excited about that. That's going to be awesome.
Correct, and those have been some heck of a games in the last handful of years. And so hopefully it stays like that. It's one game at a time, but you do look, and there are some great opportunities to have some exciting games at home for the fans, home and on TV.
By the way, going back to the Northern Michigan trip last year, I don't think you were also envisioning going behind by 3 touchdowns to come back and win the game. I don't think that was part of the deal either.
Part of the plan was not to get down 21 rip out the gate. We did talk about, in our team meeting and the movie that there was going to be some adversity. We're going to have to come back from adversity. I had planned on substitution errors, maybe killing a couple guys because of false starts. I did not plan on spotting 21 points, a pick 6, a shanked punt, and an MA defensively. Like, So hopefully we don't do that this year. This is a younger group that'll have a lot harder time overcoming that kind of adversity.
This seems, Captain, obvious question, but I would assume, even though the rosters continually fluctuate in Division II, that NSIC is still loaded for bear from what you know heading into 2026?
Hit me with that one more time.
So I was just assuming the NSIC is loaded again. I know rosters change, but for what you know, the NSIC is still as good as it gets?
Correct, absolutely. I do think there's been an interesting piece of top-end guys have been lost into the portal. Yep. That Missouri Valley, I think that's going to be a potential trend. We'll have to see how that goes. But, I mean, you look at this Northern Michigan team, I think they got 60 new players this fall. So the portal is being utilized. Certainly is. We've got teams that are very good traditionally. They have very good facilities. They're attractive places for people in the portal that maybe aren't making it Division I, that want to give Division II a try. So there's going to be a lot of talented players that are on each of the rosters as we go through the season. And so those are the ones that you gotta prepare for, because they can change the game.
Last thing, you get nervous for Thursday, like before kickoff at like 5:30? What's going to be going through their mind before you start another season?
Well, we're Tuesday at 10:48 here by the looks of it, and I'm nervous already. So that's how it works. I think that's part of it. You put a lot of time and effort into, as a coaching staff, as a program, these players, really to be judged, on 11 days. And so you're hoping that you've done all the preparation and you don't have fluke things that happen, and you go from there. Now I'm excited because these guys are young. They've put in a lot of work and they've waited their time. Now they get a chance to go prove themselves out there. And so it's kind of exciting, right? It's like seeing your kids go out and perform and do a good job. And so hopefully we see that. I'll have nerves through it until the kickoff starts, but I've always told myself if I don't get nervous, then I'm probably need to leave it. It's not fair to the people that are playing. They only get 4 years, 5 years now, I guess. It's super important to them. If it's not important enough for me to be nervous, I shouldn't be doing it.
It's great to see you again. We're really excited about the new partnership this year. Good luck on Thursday, and we'll talk again next Tuesday, okay?
That sounds great. Thank you.
There he is. Steve Laqua will join us each and every Tuesday throughout the football season at 10:35. Again, a reminder, all the Dragon home games this year will be available on WDAY2. That's available on Sparklight, over-the-air television. You can catch it where you watch some of our state tournament broadcasts. When we get to the crazy times of November and March, we've put tournament games on there. We've put Minnesota State High School League games on there. You'll be able to find the Dragons coming up Thursday night for the opener against Northern Michigan. Excited about that. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll put a bow on things, get you ready for a busy Sports Tuesday. We'll do that when Hot Mike wraps up on WDAY Extra right after this. All right. Wrapping things up here on a Tuesday. Tomorrow, our guy Sam Herr will be with us. UND head football coach Eric Schmidt will join us to preview the Fighting Hawks opener as they take on Long Island, part of a busy show. Horace head coach Harvey McMahon also will join us as the Hawks have their season opener. You'll see it right here on Extra Friday night with Red River, part of a packed show coming up tomorrow. Looking forward to that. All right, I got two last emails I got to get in. Dom, fashion expert, I see you're still at it, but who cares? I told you that was coming. People care. You may not. I do. Last time I checked, my name's on the show. I'm going to talk about it. You can do whatever you want with that. Preparing for battle, Dom, if that's actually the realism the marketing department for the Vikings are going for, it should be noted Viking warriors use battle axes since they were cheap to make and were multi-use. Swords were expensive, usually imported or stolen, and therefore used mainly by elites in Viking society. See, we have a history lesson for us. I love our viewers. They always give us some good stuff to sink our teeth into that maybe we weren't necessarily prepared for, because that was something I was not. I had one other message I wanted to get on. Dom, I saw your video about the NDSU Bison football games this year. I'm in Minot and have only the antenna. Will I be able to watch all the Bison games on WDAY in Minot, or do I need to get the Mountain West Plus app? Thanks so much. Okay. I did put the video out that we did on our preview show. We went through it last week here on this show. To answer your question directly, you will not be able to see the other 10 games. You'll be able to watch the 2 games we're doing between Fordham and UTEP. But like for the game this Saturday, if you only have the antenna, you cannot watch the game this Saturday. The Mountain West Plus app also will not have the game on. That's exclusive to CBS Sports Network. So you need cable or satellite to watch those games. If you have just an antenna, you can only watch the 2 Bison games that we have on WDAY that way. That's the easiest way for me to explain what's going on for this upcoming year. We'll do it again Friday, and again, I promise on Bison Game Day we'll try to explain as well. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. All I know it's a lot, Bison fans. I know it's different. All right, here we go. Twins going for win 2 tonight in Sacramento against the A's. That's at 8:30 tonight on Twins TV. The Little League World Series rolls on. Good one last night. The Alabama team came back and won. That's at noon on ESPN. Also, Dodgers-Braves. That's a good one. Two of the best teams in the National League. We know what the Twins just did to the Braves. That's at 6 o'clock tonight on TBS. Thanks to our guests today, to Mike McFeely, to Rocky Larson, to Steve Laqua. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay of our shows on WDAY+. Vikings wearing new uniforms coming up this year. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody, and making us a part of your day. Have a terrific Tuesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow